Welcome back to the Sungrand channel. I'm Jerrel from Sungrand, and today we'll be painting some Victorian era style art for our Silver Falls game series. I'll show you what we're using this art for in just a moment, but to recap, on our previous episode, we were applying the details to our handsome stag just here, and I'll be pointing out here we are style matching Victorian era style art with our texture as closely as we can get without going too overboard. We want a nice detailed texture. Again, these are our reference images here. This is a nice handsome deer just there, and a nice big rooster. And you can see the lovely line work and this beautiful, beautiful artwork here. So we won't be able to get perfectly, but at a glance, hopefully we can match the style of the era in terms of tonality and texture. Let's see here. Go ahead and take a sip of your favorite coffee and let's get started. Now, we'll be selecting our base color here. Again, let's go ahead and see the work that we did. So, our base color and the work that we did last week with our shading and texturing. That's not too bad. I will use the magic wand tool here. This time I will be selecting the background. This should be a nice, easy, quick step. Just my paintbrush. We'll sample our color just there. Let's start with a nice dark color. We don't want to do too much depth on this and not too much work because this is a simpler part of the image which shouldn't have that much form. Let's see, where should we start? Let's work our way up. Now naturally, I'd like to give the right side just a little bit less, or a little bit more darkness. But this is actually depicted in a very flat way. So what I will do now is I will put my artistic instincts aside and I'll just go ahead and follow the line work. I don't want to overwhelm this piece of art. I did not create this line work. Someone more than 100 years ago created this, and it's quite beautiful, and I'd really like to just bring a little justice to this artwork and share this wonderful art with more people around the world. I'm just really digitally painting in some detail and color here and use it on some branding in our Silver Falls game series. So you can see it's a little bit lighter here. So this time I'll be pushing less hard. And what I will be doing though is applying more strokes just to give texture to this part of the image here. Okay, I'm just following the line work. Let's go ahead and get a little bit more intense now. This is pretty intense. This is heavy stuff. Okay. As you can see, the intensity and frequency of the lines down here indicate the sort of darkness that's intended for the image. I don't want to take control of the artistic vision here, so I will follow the line work. What a wonderful piece of artwork. All right. Again, we just want to make sure we have our texture there. Make sure we cover over our base color. Now, go ahead and make this a little bit closer to yellow. And we don't want to give it too much depth. We don't want to take attention away from what matters, which is this handsome fellow right here. I'll go quite lightly on this part, and I don't want to go overboard. All right, as long as we give texture to our overall composition, that's it. Nice and light. Don't want to go crazy here. That's it. Nice and easy. And our brush really does do a lot of work for us. That's it. Quite lovely. Nice and easy. And we'll just follow the line work again. Just going to have hints of that here. It's not too bad. And I'm looking at our reference material here, particularly our big rooster, and you can see bright highlights, and well, not necessarily highlights, but you can see bits of white behind that, and that's because these were colored in with pen strokes and really masterfully done. And to sort of simulate that sort of texture, what I will do is switch to a very light color now. I'm going to do this very carefully because if I am not careful, I'll end up overpowering the image, but this is going to help us achieve that. Okay, that's not quite right. This will help us achieve that hand-drawn texture. So let's go ahead very carefully now. I'm being a little bit heavy-handed just there. And what I will do is, let's see, flow and opacity. I'll switch to, okay, you can see the difference that you get there. That's too much. Let's go ahead and put that back on. Let's see what our flow is like. Okay, let's go ahead and undone that. We want just the opacity now, so our flow remains at 100% as I want this to be more consistent at this point. Okay, again, we're just giving a hint of our tonality here, or a hint of our texture. Okay, and if we go overboard, we'll have to fix it. Okay, don't want to go too far. Okay, I've gone too far in some places. I want to be very careful here again. I'm just brushing very, very lightly. That's it. Not too bad. And that breaks up that pixel perfect color that you tend to find on digital paintings. There we go. That gives it a little bit more of a hand-drawn look. That breaks up the texture a little bit. You may have noticed since last time, we've done a little bit of that on the tips of some of our leaves here, just to give it a bit more of that style. Fantastic. All right, let's not forget to save our work as well. This time, let's select our gold trim here. Again, actually, we'll have to hold Shift and select multiple times, won't we? Okay, looks like we have selected all of that. Again, you can color outside of that area. It won't affect anything. If I happen to press the Step Back button, it won't change my layers. If you happen to start painting on the wrong layer and you find that you can't go back far enough to undo the changes, you're going to have a bad time. Okay, let's go ahead right off the bat. Again, we don't want to spend too much time giving a crazy amount of depth to this. And the reason being is, again, it's not the important part of our image, of our composition. Let's go ahead and just give some nice texture to this. This is a fun, nice little airbrush type paintbrush. Okay, give a little bit of texture there. And I was thinking whether or not to color that. I think we'll darken these ornate details just here. Okay, I think I'll make this as flat as can be, actually, because we don't want it to have too much presence and form in the scene. We want our deer to stand out. So if we detail it too much, it's going to draw away from the viewer's attention. Okay. All right. Now, let's go ahead and just pay a little bit of attention down here because we have line work indicating it should be a little darker. Now, let's give it some nice heavy punch. Ooh, that might be a little bit too much. Excuse me, I got excited there from all that color. Oh, now we're cooking with color, aren't we? Wonderful. Start making this area a little bit darker, and then we'll come back later and make that, again, even darker still. Not too bad. That's A-okay. Let's go ahead now, quickly shift over to a nice lighter color. Let's see what this looks like here. Let's just start putting in some texture work here. I can see that doesn't really give us that much. I'm going to step back a couple times and let's adjust our color again to something a bit lighter. Let's go closer to yellow. Make that lighter still. See how that looks. That'll be okay. Let's give it a bit more texture. How about that? We'll be doing this, and then our sort of white highlight in terms of trying to make it simulate the line stroking on over the white base color. Let's give a little bit of highlight just along the top here, just to help it pop just a little bit. How about that? Just to help that pop. Just like that. Okay, let's go to that nice bright white. Now we're going to be very careful here. We're going to try and add an even layer. How about that? There we go. That gives us that nice, uneven, organic texture. We're going to put some dark tonality back in there now, just like this. We're going to be very careful not to overdo it. We don't want to go overboard. That's it. But look at that lovely texture that's in there now. Let's go ahead and fill that in just there. Fill this in just here, like so. One last layer of lights. Make sure we have nice clean tonality. Okay, that's not too bad. I think we could live with that. Okay, we have two more elements left. We have the background and the antlers. Let's go ahead and select our antlers very quick. This won't take too much work as it is a small area. Let's save our work. Go ahead and turn flow back on now. Let's paint outside the area in case we need to step back. And let's go ahead and start off quite dark now, okay? We can move a little bit faster on this since we've got a pretty good handle on what we are doing here. Just going to give that a quick run through like so, just to get our base texture in there. How about that? There we go, nice and easy. This time, let's warm that up quite a fair bit. Nice and warm. Go a little bit dark now. That's okay. Sometimes it's just fine to get a little dark, but not all the time. This is one situation where it is okay to get a little dark. Let's follow our line work a little bit. And that's just fine. Just fine. I'll have to make the brush just a bit smaller now. And very nice indeed. This is nice and soothing. How relaxing and wonderful is that to just give this a bit of color? I don't really want to put that there. Maybe I'll just break the line work a little bit. Color on this side where my instinct tells me to go. Very gentle highlight here. Let's take a little step back, okay? And step back in. Okay, that looks like it should be okay. These are our highlights. Again, remember, in this era, it did not seem as if the highlights were generally given a lot of focus, so that's why I don't want to go overboard with the highlights themselves. They tend to give dimensionality through some dark rich shadows. So I will be going back over this after we finish texturing with a nice deep dark color. Okay, seems like we got our highlight in there. Okay, let's go back in there with our nice bright white texture. Let's make that a bit bigger now. How about that? That helps break up that digital artificial look, makes it a little bit more organic, doesn't it? There we go. That looks much more organic. Wonderful. Oh, hello there. And wonderful. Let's go ahead and make that just one last pass through with our shadows. And nice and easy. We don't want to go overboard. Just want to make sure we very clearly express the shape and form that we need to so that we can understand what it is we are looking at. Wonderful. That's not difficult at all, is it? Nice and easy and relaxing. Ooh, looks like we need a little bit here, don't we? And wonderful. This is not too bad at all. Hey, that looks just fine. We haven't given it too much form that it isn't distracting from our main man, our handsome Stag. Lastly, let's go ahead and select our blue background. This time we will select similar and see if that gives us the correct selection. Seems like it has. Looks like it's bled over there just a little bit. Let's step back. Well, I suppose that's what the selection is. Let's go ahead and do that again. Similar. We'll paint. Make sure we select the right layer. And let's give this a little bit of texture now. It's not any line work indicating what the texture should be, so I'm going to make it simple and I'm going to keep it nice and clean. I don't want to give it too much depth. We don't want to distract from the rest of our composition. So let's just go ahead and, again, style match, and we'll give it texture, and that's all we want. We don't want to do too much with it. It's quite easy to go overboard, isn't it? And I'll very lightly go over just like this. Don't want to give it too much now, do we? Gee, this is quite fun and relaxing. Wouldn't it be great if I could share some images and perhaps we could all paint along together? Wouldn't that be fun? Then we can share the experience in real time. If you guys are interested in that, please let me know and I will start sharing some of this line art that you can paint yourself. And you can also enjoy how relaxing this is. Let's see here. I'm cooling down as I move closer, so I'm going to bring that back up here just to warm up my colors a little. And we'll give this a bit of texture up here. How about this? Just a little bit of texture. I'm going to darken this color up here. And perhaps I might want to keep his eye line where the brightest part of the image would be. So let's go ahead and just fill that in with detail just very quickly, just like this. Yeah, I quite like that idea. Let's go darker again. Get a little bit smaller. This time we'll start bringing things in like this. Now I'm brushing radially inward. There we go. Now, let's go ahead and go back to our brights, give that nice textured look, and we'll just go over this just for the texture. I'm not happy with that. What I would like to do is make the brush bigger this time. How about that? That'll give us a nice, much more visible texture. Now, I'm not quite happy with that either. I think the color was much too dark. This eye line here, nice highlight. And go ahead and bring this in just a little. Oh, let's undo that again. Oh, I want to make my brush just a little bit smaller now. If you're using a program like Clip Studio, they have really wonderful paintbrushes to simulate watercolor, and I would love to be using some of those for the background portion of these images. So perhaps we'll get to use that at some point in the future. There we go. We've got a nice bit of texture. We have a little bit of tonality that tries to lead the viewer's eyes towards our handsome stag. Okay, now, fantastic. It doesn't look too bad at all. Lastly, our eyes, our blank. They're blank white. Let's go ahead and select those two spots, and we're just going to give them a little bit of texture now. Again, we don't want to go overboard here. It's very difficult to pick out that detail, so let's go ahead and go nice and dark here for the eyes, just to give it a little bit of detail with color. And boy, he sure looks like one happy fella. So next episode we'll be working on the final image where we will be taking this and putting it into where we need to use it. So this is our overall end product. We can always adjust our saturation and levels. Let's go ahead and have another look at our reference material. So this is from the era. This is also another Victorian era piece of art. And I hope we've matched our tonality pretty closely. It's not that bad. I think it's quite close in terms of tonality, and I'm quite happy with the final product. What do you guys think? Let's have another quick look. Let's disable the work that we've done. This is without our texturing and our digital painting. This is our base color layer. And this is with our texturing and our digital painting. Wonderful. Thanks very much for joining me today. I sure had a lot of fun working on this video, and I really hope that you will join me on the next one. If you would like to see more videos like this one, please feel free to click that subscribe button. And also, please check in next time. We're working on some more fun artwork. Take care of yourself now.